Good to be with you guys.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem. So Crystal and Sean, it's good to be with you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it. We really love Dexter and Jamie and the whole team, Mike. We just love our like kind, and that's kind of one of the cool things that we've been able to do through ER Shred is really identify our like kind. And I think where should we start?
Yeah, I couldn't hear how you introduced us. We couldn't hear what you already
I did.
covered. Oh, you did?
Oh, I see what you're
The
saying.
volume wasn't working for us too. So I don't know what you covered, so we should just.
So
Go ahead, Jamie.
I really introduced, a little bit of my story, and my husband and Dexter's story, and just it was a really brief overview of kind of that you guys have been a part of Isogenics. This is something that in the last couple of years has been a shift that you've made. And it just, the real brief highlights. So if you guys want to kind of dive into what led you to this and the change that it's brought, not only to you guys, but to others.
Oh, for sure. Cool. Okay, cool. All right, let me say this. We were in the nutrition industry for 18 years. 18 years we were promoting nutrition, we were marketing a product, and we helped a lot of people, and it was really we felt like it was this inspired thing, this divine thing, and miracles. I mean, we saw a lot of miracles along the way. For me personally, in June of 2020, I suffered a personal health crisis. And what that looked like was I had no more motivation for most anything in life. I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I had complete brain fog at every waking moment. I thought that, I actually thought I had that condition caused by concussions from football. I thought I had that encephalitis and my brain was just toast. I had constant bloat, no matter what I ate. I mean, and I tried to eat healthy overall, but no matter what I ate, I was still suffering. And sometimes what I would eat would really knock me out for quite a few days because I just thought, oh my goodness, I have the most sensitive gut in the world. There were other things too. I had injuries that wouldn't heal. I had, truthfully, I didn't have energy, and I'd keep loading up with caffeine all the time, trying to get more energy. And that was a vicious cycle. And I was just emotionally shot. And I also felt like I was a lie, that I was living a lie, because I felt like I should be the epitome of health. I should be this person, that looks great, that feels great, because I'm telling other people that I could help them get healthy. And it felt very disingenuous of me. And therefore, my efficacy of helping other people really went down the toilet, didn't it? Mm-hmm. And I just kind of shut down, and I just stopped even doing what I should have been doing, which was helping people. But I just felt like to do so would be totally hypocritical. My health hit an all-time low, and I actually thought it was going to cost me my marriage. I was attacking my mom and dad. I was attacking them emotionally. I wasn't a version of a father that I'd hoped I would be. Vibrant health, active, fun. I was very dark, negative, cynical. And I remember I kept complaining to Crystal, and I remember you kept saying, don't worry, something's coming. You'll figure it out. Something's coming. And I would just always be like, yeah, right. But then it was kind of this thing. It was kind of this crazy thing, because I called a friend of mine who was the most healthy person that I know. There's a lot of people that they know a lot about health and they can teach you a lot. But this person was a health expert who I knew from personal experience because he used to be in my family. It's my former brother-in-law. This was an individual who walked the talk. He lived it. If he was going to be healthy, he was deliberate about it. He was, I mean, I always looked at him like this crazy purist. Well, I called him because I was at my wit's end, and he goes, I go, are you still vegan? And Crystal at the time was vegan. How 18 months was
Yeah,
that? I can't
it was
remember.
it was like 10 months that I was full vegan. And I too was feeling very frustrated because I had been so disciplined and done all this research about veganism, and I was following it, and I was still having so many of my own health issues. And so both of us together were just in this really frustrated state, because here we are, like Sean said, being in the nutrition industry and yet feeling like we couldn't figure out how to feel healthy, and we couldn't figure out what was going wrong in our diet. And so, yeah, it was interesting when Sean called the guy, and because he was curious, what maybe is, trying to be interested in the vegan lifestyle and wondering if that's even something that helps. And so you asked him if he was still vegan, because I was vegan. And
it was also crazy. Like, thinking back on it, it was the funniest thing. I'll tell you what Crystal said when I told her what my friend Mac had said. But I go to Mac, and he's like, I go, are you still vegan? And he goes, oh, hell no. He goes, I was vegan. I mean, he was strict vegan for years. And he said that ultimately he ended up in the hospital with leaky gut and massive inflammation all over his body, and some like liver problems, I think it was. And he's like, hell no, that almost killed me. That's what he said. But I was like, oh, really? That's interesting. Well, I didn't realize it at the time, but because Crystal had been so strict vegan, I mean, perfection, I was pretty much vegan as well. I didn't,
because I was making all the vegan meals, and he of course would eat it, and then I was buying less meat, just kind of hoping that everybody would eat the thing that I was making.
Yeah. And I remember, Crystal, when I said to you, I talked to Mac, and he said, I need to turn to meat. And she's laughing. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? And I was like, he said we need to eat meat. So keep in mind that.
I know, I didn't remember that phone call. It was so funny. He called me, he's like, you're not going to believe this. You are not going to believe this. And we were both laughing on the phone because it just seemed so outrageous.
Well, I knew I couldn't eat red meat because I had a sensitive stomach, and every time I would eat red meat, it would make me sick. And so I would say to Crystal, no red meat, none in the house, please,
so not
never.
only were we vegan by accident, Sean was vegan by accident, but we had gone without red meat for many years because Sean always thought that was his culprit.
Right. And guess what else I thought was a culprit for me? My own shakes. The isoline shakes, I couldn't even eat them. They would make me physically sick. Oftentimes I would either, let's just say this, it wasn't pretty how, the effect that it would have on me in terms of bloat and
gut stuff.
Yeah, all of that. And so with that in mind, like, I just was at my very, very wit's end. And I remember saying to him, he goes, just consider this. And so Crystal and I, we went down this road of, should we turn to meat and butter? And this is the most crazy, insane, absurd thing that we could ever have heard. Like, if you had told me back then that that's what Mac would have said, I would have bet my house that there's not a chance in hell that Mac's eating all that meat. Well, Mac said that it turned his life around completely in a very short period of time, and he was so excited. Well, I do have a background, in nutrition, if you will. My father is a formulator of nutritional products. I have been in that industry since the age of 10. I have a lot of exposure to things nutritional. My fear around just eating meat, and there's a lot of people out there that are carnivore, and they believe in that. My fear was, I know that if you only eat meat and you don't eat nose to tail, and you don't eat all the organs, like I'm talking all the organs, if you're not going to go that route, then you are going to have some nutritional deficiencies. And so this is where things started to turn a little freaky in terms of fate. About the exact same time that we were turning to the meat, an old friend, Bob Sivright, reached out to me. And Bob had said, you got to try incubating these Isoline Pro shakes. And I said, incubation? I tried that. And you guys will learn about incubation and the power of it later. I won't go into all of that right now, but you'll learn about it. And it's phenomenal science. Like everything we teach, all the different protocols, all the different, elements of the entire 11-day protocol, it's all backed by a lot of research and science. But that's not really what's important to me, believe it or not, because everything and anything can be backed by science. You can get science backing for anything. I could decide that this thing here, this chapstick, is like the best thing you could ever do for, lifting the wrinkles under the eye. And somehow, some way, I could probably find a scientist to back me up on that. All I'm trying to say is we decided based on intuition and based on fate that we have got to supplement any nutritional deficiencies. And also, we can't just be eating straight meat all the time. Like that is very expensive and inconvenient. And so that's where we did revisit the incubation. Now, here's the phenomenon. When we went on the straight meat, somehow, some way, the same shakes that were so bothersome for me and I couldn't tolerate them, the same shakes, when I was strictly on meat and butter, I had no ill effect whatsoever from the exact same shake as long as I incubated the shake. Incubation takes the waste product from very high, I'll just say very high. Anything you eat has waste product. When you eat an egg, your body absorbs 50% of, the nutritional value, and the other 50% of, say, the protein, the ability for those, proteins and amino acids to build muscle and support you. 50% is waste, 50% is usable. And it's the same with any kind of food. When you eat a steak, 30% is highly beneficial. The other 70% is waste product. This is why we have an elimination system. But somehow, some way, when you incubate that shake, the waste product goes from being, higher than you'd like, or, than preferred. And then it goes really low. So what I noticed is I had no gas, I had no bloat, I had no ill effects whatsoever. And it was almost like I could feel my body absorbing this shake like it was manna from heaven. And my body started to grow. Like that was a trip. And again, the research behind it will teach you why that is. It takes the absorption and it really enhances the absorption is my experience based on how my body responded. We decided, wow, being that we can eat these shakes, the Isoline Pro shakes, the bigger shakes that satiate more so, if we combine this with the meats, we can offset any nutritional deficiencies. And this is where the real phenomenon that is ER shred started to kick in. And it sounds simple, but I've got to tell you, you can see all over the market right now, meat heals, meat heals, meat heals, meat heals, right? Mm-hmm. Meat heals, it's trending. And there's people that are jumping into that space like crazy. Meat heals, meat heals. Well, from my critical point of view, we started to experience miracles, you guys, Crystal and I both, and our daughter. And for me personally, it took me about 10 days for my body to regulate, for my body to learn how to burn fat for fuel versus glucose, sugars, carbs all the time, which is way less efficient than burning fat for fuel. You want to be a fat burner. You're destined to be a fat burner. That's your history. That's your heritage. So it took me 10 days to adjust to fat adaptation. You'll learn about that. But by the 5th day, this is what really mattered. By the 5th day, you guys, my bloat was gone. That distension in my belly was completely gone. I looked down and I go, holy crap. It's gone. Where did it go? I thought I was so fat. It wasn't fat. I was so bloated. My brain, all that fog just like cleared up. Like it was the creepiest thing ever. Gone. All fog, gone. Like someone took a toothbrush and went in there and scrubbed out every cavity and just completely clean. I had my creativity. I had my focus. I had everything going for me, right? And then the endurance kicked in, like the physical activity. And I remember I went on a hike and I remember saying to Crystal, you know, I feel so good. This is crazy. My bowels hadn't regulated yet. I want to say that.
Saying you felt bionic.
I'm like, dude, I feel bionic.
Yeah.
This is crazy. And I was like getting everything done that I hadn't. And I spent 2 straight days stripping and staining our deck. And then I went on this like 11-mile hike. And I hadn't even been like, I wasn't even prepared to do that. And I just killed it. And I came back and I was like, I remember I came back, I was in tears. I was in tears on the back deck. And I was like, Crystal, you don't understand how good it feels to feel good again. And I was like, I went so many years not feeling well. And I just want to feel well. And I remember thinking, I remember this when I was like 13. And that's, you know what, guys, there's other components that came into play that birthed the ER shred. But and I would like you to talk about food awareness and intuition and everything that has been born from ER shred. But what unfolded for us, just the quick synopsis, was Crystal and I looked at each other and we were like, dang, we have got to share this with the world. And then we were like, but meat, no way. People are not going to go for meat, not a chance. Even though that's what our ancestors like lived on and thrived on, like that's what they had to eat. That was what they were genetically built to process and eat. Anyway, I remember saying, there's no way meat's going to fly. We can't market meat. And then I had a realization. I says, Crystal, are we getting well and transforming because meat heals? Is that true? Or let's turn it around. Is it because the meat, the sustainable nutrient density of that meat and going to fat burning mode, which we're genetically predisposed to do, and has that enabled us to get off all common food culprits? I'm talking about to safely get off refined sugars, soy, corn, gluten, pasteurized dairy, anything artificial, anything synthetic, anything, just to get off all the garbage that we're exposed to all the time. And is that ability to strip it down and get down to a very simple base really why the body is responding so well? And the truth is, it's a combination of things. It is a combination of things. And that's why the name ER Shred stands for eliminate. You eliminate all most common food culprits from your diet. And you'll be surprised, guys. I've been, how many months now, Crystal? Crystal and I are at, I think, 20 months now. July will be 2 years where we have not eaten any refined sugar. We have not eaten any corn, any soy, any gluten. We haven't had a cookie. And everybody goes, well, haven't you had a cookie? And we haven't, because we don't view that as our food anymore. But we're not trying to get people to be purists. The elimination and then the reset leads to the reintroduction of foods. And why don't you speak to what that looks like and how you're able to build a blueprint from that point forward. Okay. And just all the awareness that starts to birth from that.
Yeah, the cool thing about the whole concept of ER Shred is we are realizing how it spills over into so many areas of our life and how it gives us this brand new perspective and how to really analyze things in a much different way. And when it comes to our food and like how Sean talked about, the science and all that, it doesn't feel overwhelming when you go on Google and try to find an answer to one of your questions. And then a week later, you find in something that totally contradicts the thing that you thought was correct. And that's how I felt so confused, because I was watching all these vegan documentaries and I was 100% sold. Like, they had so much evidence backing why veganism was the way to live and the best way to eat. And it was very, very confusing for me to hear that and to see how they had mounds and mounds of evidence, and then to realize it wasn't working for me personally, and then to go, researching on meat and carnivore and elimination, and realizing how can this say that it's so effective, and over here they say how meat is so bad. And it's like, there's so much confusion. And that's what was the most frustrating part about our health journey or nutrition journey, because we went down so many dead ends. Yeah, we were researching and trying and researching and trying, and it's just like, it's just become so overwhelming. And so the cool thing is that it's like we're eliminating all that information as well. We're starting with a blank slate, and the meat is our baseline. And I feel like if you have one thing to be your sustainable baseline, then you can build from there, and we can get away from listening to all of the contradicting information out there and stop confusing ourselves constantly and start getting in tune with our bodies, because we forgot that we have all the answers for our specific body. We are the only ones that can answer those questions that we have, and yet we're always seeking outward. We're always asking doctors and gurus and Google, and it's just like, we don't know how to feel. Yeah, we just think that the answers are outside of us, and now we're realizing the ER shred is the best concept for life. When you think about eliminate, reset, get down to a baseline. There's so many different ways that can apply to all areas of your life, and all these questions, things that are overwhelming you and you're feeling confused. It's like, get back down to a baseline, eliminate all the noise. And it's really cool once you start to tap into that and you realize the power that you have within yourselves, and then to go on it and imagine, I know all of us have these beliefs about ourselves that we are not disciplined. I just can't seem to lose the weight. I'm so addicted to sugar, because we've tried and tried and tried, and we failed and failed and failed. And so we eventually just come up with these beliefs about ourselves. But isn't that crazy that all these people that have gone on ER Shred, they started with that belief about themselves. But for some reason they're like, all right, I'm just gonna try one more time. I'm just gonna keep trying. And then they do this, and all of a sudden 6 months later, they're like, how is that possible that I've gone 6 months without eating processed sugar? And they're blown away, because they didn't realize the power that they actually have within themselves. And it's kind of cool. It makes me emotional too, that you could go to 60 and 70 years of your life believing that you're just not a disciplined person, until you find something and you realize that you had the power all along, but you just didn't find the right avenue, or you're just listening outward. You're never connecting with yourself.
Yeah, all the noise.
Yeah.
All the noise. And that could be, come on, we are exposed to garbage, toxicity everywhere all the time.
Yeah. And then, to continue with you asked the question to explain what we do moving forward after the 11 days. And the cool thing is because now everybody has the opportunity to find out specifically what is your own unique blueprint. And by doing that, you start testing out the foods one food at a time. You keep it simple, you keep it whole foods, and you try one new food at a time, and you listen to your body. You stop searching Google, are cucumbers healthy? It's stop searching Google, eat the cucumber, listen to your body, wait a couple hours, eat a cucumber for a few days, and really learn what your body wants, listen to your body. And so that's the cool thing about this, is because with carnivore too, it's so extreme. And I feel like the ER Shred and all the pieces that we put together, it feels like this is a sustainable, doable lifestyle. And you can start finding your unique blueprint one food at a time. You can still enjoy vegetables or fruit, but we just take it slow, and we find out which ones that your body likes and doesn't like.
Yeah. And the coolest thing, guys, is the power that's born of learning to feel around food, it starts to spill over into other areas of your life. Like your marriage gets better. It's a trip. It's a little bit of a mind play, but you feel like, oh my gosh, my emotions, I'm becoming more sensitive. I'm becoming less irritable, less negative. And you actually have an experience where you get emotional, and we call it a come alive moment, where you realize what it's like to feel your best self without all the noise. And then you go, oh my gosh, now I know what was doing it. You don't know specifically what's doing it yet, but you do know that the most common food culprits, we all know they're doing it. When we slurp down that Diet Coke, we know full well what's in it, and we know it ain't good for us, but we can't help ourselves. Well, that's the magic here. Like I used to love the taste of beer. I loved beer. I love the taste of beer still, but I have not had a beer in, I want to say 16 months. And the reason is not because I made a conscious decision like I need to stop drinking. It wasn't like that. It was born of me realizing that even just one beer would cause a little bit of bloat. And because I got to that baseline and I started to comprehend my optimal health, nothing else for me satisfies anymore. So even one beer and that slight bloat, that discomfort is magnified for me. And I go, nope, not having it. And I quit beer only because I just want to feel optimal. Part of feeling optimal for me is no bloat. No bloat. Don't like it. So you guys, we'll let you open up to questions. But what unfolded was we said, oh, what the hell? We're going to share this with the world anyway. And we went forward and we formed the protocol. And there's lots of amazing things we put in it. And we shared it with the world. And it took off like a freaking house of fire. And it's helped thousands of people. And the group that we've got now is, it's really active. It's amazing. There's thousands of people in there, all cheering each other on. And the culture is my favorite part of ER Shred. The culture of ER Shred is we're not pretentious. We're not fake. What you see is what you get. We're normal. We're down to earth. We're casual. We're fun. We like to joke. We don't judge. We won't allow intolerance. We don't care your religion. We don't care your political preference. Our like kind will feel at home in the community of ER Shred. And let me tell you something, if you don't understand how important support is in community and coaching around dietary changes, then it's time for you to really surrender all your past prejudice. Get rid of it, because 50% of the battle, believe it or not, half the battle is who are you surrounding yourself with? What kind of an environment are you involved in? How inspiring is that? How safe is that? So that's what I've got to share, you guys. I hope you'll join us. If you haven't, get in our group and just start to be a fly on the wall in that group and just read all the posts and get familiar with all the different guides that Heather's put together and all the information put out by our nutrition coach and our health professionals like Jesse and Susan. Get in there and just dig and dig and dig and get going with this, because I'm telling you right now, you know what? You owe it to yourself to feel your very best. You do. You owe it to yourself to feel your very best. And Jamie, Dexter, Mike, they would tell you, I actually know now how bad I used to feel. I could never comprehend how bad I felt all day, every day. Why? Because I never knew how good I could feel. Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, you know it. You guys are so great. I appreciate every time I hear you guys talk. I always like to pick up a new part of your story or pick something up. So I know for those of you here, it's new. It's a lot of information to take on. I mean, it's a little bit different. But the way they shared it, I mean, you start and then you build from there. Like it's not there is no perfect. So it's not something like you're gonna screw it up if you're not perfect. And it's different, like what works for Sean, what works for Crystal, what works for me, what works for Dexter. They're all different because that's the way God made us. Like, we're all unique individuals. So naturally our food blueprint, past the 11 days, it's going to be unique and different to each of us. So do you guys have any questions while we have them here? They're joining us from Park City,
St. George.
St. George, Utah.
How do they know?
Right? We were just having this conversation. And I was like, no, I think Mike and I had this whole conversation trying to figure it out. And then I screwed it up. So they're joining us from there, but they're here to, I'm sure we can keep them on a couple more minutes. If you guys have anything that you want them to answer, obviously we can answer, and he's right in the community. Any questions specifically? Ed, you're up.
Just alcohol. I've been drinking my whole life. I don't drink every day. I was just up with some friends Friday, and yeah, we put a pretty good bend in the stick, but that'll happen once in a month now at my age. And it's something that I enjoy. And my son, amazingly, being around me, never picked it up. So alcohol wasn't an issue for him. But I'm thinking about this program, it will be an issue for me. I mean, my wife and I like to sit down and have a bottle of wine, but that might happen once a week, and maybe once in a month, it'll turn into a second bottle. It's not like we're heavy drinkers, but we do drink.
What a great question.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I think if you want to speak to the post 11 days, we will indulge from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to say is just this, just give us 11 days. And if you reintroduce wine, beer, hard alcohol, if you introduce, there's lots of ER shredders that still drink. And there's lots of ER shredders that still drink beer, and they just don't have the same, ill effect as me, or they'll indulge in beer. But just give us 11 days and then reintroduce the wine like you would a food, and sit with it and notice there's all kinds of ways you might notice ill health effects if it's a culprit for you, and it might not be. But if it was, you might feel pain in certain joints. You might feel inflammation. You might feel bloat. You might feel a little bit of brain fog, headache. There's all kinds of crazy things that can happen, really. And once you get clear on your own body, you'll start to interpret your body's language, the way that your body speaks to you intuitively. And once you know that language and you can hear your body speak, this is the most powerful tool you'll take with you the rest of your life. I can promise you that. So then you reintroduce, whatever alcohol it is, and then ultimately you'll be able to choose, is this a culprit for me? And if so, do I want to give this up entirely? Or you'll be able to say, I'll indulge once in a while.
Exactly. That's how I am about wine. I know it's not, I tend to break out a little bit after, but it's just like, for me, I'm like, it's okay. I'm okay with having, if you have a little pain the next day because you had some alcohol, if you feel like the pros outweigh the cons, then you just keep going, keep doing it. And I think also, like, to continue what Sean was saying, there might be specific types of alcohol that you feel better on. And then, like wine might be good. You might feel great on wine, and then beer, you feel like crap. And so it's like just also trying out the different types of alcohol to see which one that your body, is best at tolerating. So yeah, we never think that it's necessary to give up those things completely. It's just, we're learning how to be more in tune with our bodies, take it slowly, and just see how we feel on it.
And we're a no shame, no guilt culture. So when we call it indulging, because when you call it cheat, when you say, I'm just going to cheat a little, or you go, oh, I really blew it, I fell off, I cheated, you're causing yourself shame and guilt. And that is not necessary. If you look at it more so as an indulgence, then, that's okay. You indulge, and then you get back on the tracks and we go forward.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you, guys. That's great. And I just want to speak to, I know you guys can't see me, I'm out of that. That was one, that question came up earlier today for me. And for me, one of my big triggers is carbonation. And I don't drink a lot of stuff. I don't drink a lot of soda. I don't drink, like, I can go to a gas station and 90% of the options there weren't something I pick up because I don't drink energy drinks. It was never something, but I like carbonation. I like sparkling water. I like White Claws. I like having a Moscow Mule with ginger beer. Like and so when it comes to that, one of my triggers is alcohol. And that was a huge contributing factor to having daily. Here I am thinking, okay, I'm making healthy choices. I'm not, in the afternoon, I grab a bubbly, just a sparkling water, which is a good, clean, healthy choice. And I'm giving myself daily stomach aches because I was having this good, clean, healthy option that wasn't good for me. So when it came to, again, I didn't drink a lot, but that once or twice a week, I might, especially in the summers, like I might grab a White Claw while we're sitting by the pool and I have a stomach ache, but I was kind of at the point I was having stomach aches all the time. So as soon as I figured it out, that was just a part, and there's nothing that says I can't have a White Claw. It's just that choice of, do I want to have a stomach ache? If I'm okay having the stomach ache, I have the White Claw. Honestly, I haven't had one since last June. But I found like I can have wine and I'm fine with it. It doesn't upset my stomach. It doesn't. So that's something like I still once in a while have a glass of wine and when I want to, and again, I get to choose that. Like that's the beauty of this program is you get to choose the routine that works for you. And it's just that awareness. Like it's not that I can't have a White Claw or a Moscow Mule. It's I can. Here's what's going to happen if I have it. If I want to go to bed with a stomach ache, but I really want it, I can have it. Or if I don't, I can make another choice.
Jamie, you know what? Like what you're speaking to is we leave it open-ended by design, because what we've learned in our life experience is when everything is spelled out for you, you don't grow.
Yep.
And we leave it open-ended and you learn to forge your own independence. And from that independence, you will feel empowered. And that empowerment will ultimately give you the feeling of freedom. It's very counterintuitive that giving people choice, although it scares the hell out of them, is ultimately what is going to empower them moving forward.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? How about anyone else? Has that spurred something or?
It's just me, but I'm having a hard time visualizing lemonade with no fruits and vegetables in my digestive system.
Yep. Yeah, I just want to say about that real quick, and then Crystal can mention something, but I have had gut health issues my entire adult life until ER shred. I used to think that I got to eat all these fruits and vegetables and salads and leafy greens and fiber. And I got to tell you, I have had perfect gut health. You know, my gut health was an everyday occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
I've had perfect gut health ever since starting ER shred. And my bowel movements went from, my normal was loose stool. That's all I ever had was loose stool. And now I have these miracle bowel movements, like normal bowel movements. Like I get off the toilet and I'm like, yes, yes. Like, guys, you just don't realize, for people that don't have that, you don't realize, like, so fructose in excess can be extremely toxic to the human body. And it, of course, is going to put you in sugar burning mode, which isn't ideal. Same with the carbs from the veggies. But you guys, a lot of the veggies you're eating are culprits and you don't even realize it. And once you start to reintroduce them, you'll start to realize that plants don't want to be eaten, just like a zebra doesn't want to be eaten, neither do most plants. And we, for some reason, as human beings, decided that everything in existence is edible. Like we're the only animal that just eats everything and anything and cooks anything and combinations of foods and cocktails of foods. You are going to really learn about your body, but give us 11 days and then reintroduce those things and really figure out what works for you, because one thing squash might, broccoli might not. It plays with the mind, but once you know what works, that's the power. Because I used to go to the Whole Foods and get these great big massive salads, like a $20 salad, everything on there. It's all chucked on there, everything healthy. And then I would suffer from massive bloat and gas and bloating and, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up, man?
Yeah.
Something's not right.
Yeah. Speaking to my vegan experience, that was like one of the biggest things that I noticed as well when I started the 11-day shred. And it was a miracle because I really did believe that it's normal to be bloated every day. Like that's just means you're healthy. And it was so painful for me that I started to have to do enemas just to feel better to go to sleep at night.
You were doing enemas like every day.
Yeah, almost every day. And I just was like, maybe eventually my stomach will get used to all these fruits and vegetables, and that this is just like the transition period. And I would read online that people would say that, but I'm like, okay, I'm going on a year now. Why am I still in so much pain? And if I'm eating how could I possibly be in so much pain when I'm eating the healthiest things on the planet? Like that's what I thought was true at the time. And then to cut it out and do the shred and then have no bloat, no gas, and feel this way. We joke all the time because we just are like, I can't believe that we literally don't have gas anymore. I thought like having gas is just like a normal part of human experience, but we don't, and it's just crazy. So to go but you can still have, like Sean said, just give us 11 days, and then you can start finding the ones the fruits and vegetables that your body does like. But like Sean said as well, you have no idea that these could possibly be culprits for you. Like how could a vegetable be bad for you? But you might find out that there is some vegetables that you're eating regularly that your body is like, please stop, please.
And you'll never be able to identify it until you strip it down and start again, start afresh.
Will you guys share some of the surprising fruits and vegetables? I mean, obviously gluten is one of, like, oh, you can't handle aspartame, shocking. I think that's probably true for most bodies, but like, what are the things that maybe you didn't expect, or the things that, just to give people an idea of kind of what it looks like now?
I can't eat like grains. I don't eat grains. I don't eat any grains.
Peanuts, beans and peanuts. I used to eat peanuts all the time. I always thought they were healthy, and a lot of beans too. I don't eat any of those. But so I wasn't shocked with the beans, but peanuts, yeah. And
I avoid spinach, kale, anything like that. I avoid any seed oils. Oh goodness.
And carrots for me, but like we said, this is not the same for everybody, but carrots for me, and you can try it cooked and raw as well, because there is a difference. I can eat some things cooked, but not raw, like apples. I'll cook apples and eat them, but I can't eat them raw.
Yeah, and I've never been able to eat apples my whole life. I've always wondered what's wrong with me, because I eat an apple and it makes me ill.
Yeah.
So then you have to ask yourself why, and then you got to start, backtracking and looking at the food companies, and looking at the pesticides, and looking at the crossbreeding. And you know what? Just don't go there, because it's Pandora's box. You just have to build anew. Anew.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Anything else before we let these guys go?
I hope you join us. I hope you're a bunch of crazy people, that crazies like us that say, what the hell? What have I got to lose? It's 11 days. Let's see if this helps me at all. And then I think it's going to grab hold of you, and you're going to go, oh, these people aren't so crazy. This is actually pretty good.
Jill's got a comment or a question.
On the meat that you eat during the 11 days, is it just salt, pepper, no other seasoning?
Yeah, just salt. You just want to use sea salt. I would avoid pepper and reintroduce pepper post 11 days like a food, because pepper doesn't really work well with my body. And other spices you should introduce as a food, actually. But you want to just use the best quality meat you can get your hands on, and then you want to use a couple tablespoons of butter that you throw on the meat after it's cooked. Don't throw it on while it's cooking, because you'll kind of alter the characteristics, the nutritional properties of the butter. So you add the butter, you add your salt, you eat it like that, plain and simple, and you'll be surprised just how good you feel and how long it satiates you and holds you over. And same with the shakes. You'll be surprised how good you feel on those incubated shakes.
Awesome.
It's only 7 meat meals though. I mean, I know you guys probably aren't really that scared of it, but I'm always telling people like, dude, come on, 11 days, give me 7 all meat meals with butter and salt, and 7 meals over 11 days. That ain't bad. Actually, you know, we eat like kings and queens. I mean, I can't believe that eating like this has led to optimal health myself. But now I've probably got, you know, like 24 food sources that I've discovered, like, you know, a couple dozen food sources that I've discovered are not culprits for me. And I just live on that. And it's simple, but I just love the simplicity. It's really, let's just say that I'm so grateful that I've learned that I don't need so much variety in my life, because that spills over into other areas of your life as well. Simple is good.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you both for taking the time. I know you guys have kids and lives, and it's your Sunday afternoon. So truly, we appreciate you, Dexter, Mike, and the whole crew here for just taking time out of your day to answer questions. And hopefully maybe this summer we'll get you guys up here for a little vacation and we can do this again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Perfect. Bye, guys. Let's see.